Our objective today is to show that you can use the distributive property to find the area of a rectangle. Let's think back to our multiplication unit. If you remember, when we got a larger problem such as this, we didn't know how to multiply it just from basic math facts. So what we did is we took this number, 14, the larger number, and broke it into two parts using the distributive property. So what we would do is instead of multiplying 14 times 7, we'd look at our array and we'd break it up into two parts, with this part being 10 and this part being 4. And then we'd multiply each of those boxes by 7. So 10 times 7 and 4 times 7. So we then ended up with 10 times 7 is 70, and 4 times 7 is 28. And then we'd add those two numbers together. 70 plus 28 equals 98. So K equals 98. I'm going to show you how to use the distributive method to find the area of this rectangle. First, I need to remember the formula that area equals length times width. So I'm going to look at this larger rectangle, and I don't want to have to draw boxes or count this all up, so I want to figure out a faster way to calculate this area. So first, I need to figure out how I can break it up into two smaller rectangles. Now I know that 15 meters is too hard to calculate to times by 4. So I know if I break the 15, the larger number, up into two parts, then I'll have some numbers that are easier to multiply. So since it's pretty easy to multiply by 10, I'm going to break this rectangle up into 10 meters and 5 meters. So now it's almost like I have two different rectangles. One that has a width of 10 and a length of 4, and one that has a width of 5 and a length of 4. So now all I have to do is simply multiply these numbers. 10 times 4 equals 40, 5 times 4 equals 20, and then add the area of each of those rectangles back together. 40 plus 20 equals 60. And now I've learned that the area of this rectangle equals 60 meters squared. Let's try it again with an even bigger rectangle. This time, I'm going to decide to break up the 25 into two rectangles. So, again, I'm going to think back to what I learned about multiplication and break this number into tens and ones. So then that means that this is equal to 20 and this part here is equal to 5. So my two new calculations now are going to be 20 times 7, since my width is 20 and my length is 7, and 5 times 7, since my width right here is 5 and my length is still 7. So now I'm going to do my calculations. 20 times 7, I know that 7 times 2 is 14, and then I have to add the 0, and I know that 5 times 7 equals 35. So then I have to take those two rectangles that I've separated and put them back together, since this is still only one rectangle I have to calculate the area for. So I'm going to add 140, which was my first rectangle that I broke up, and 35, which is my second rectangle that I broke up. And I see now that this rectangle has an area of 175 inches squared. So now you understand how to use the distributive property to calculate the area of a rectangle.